lovelies. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of excited for summer. The only one thing that I'm not excited about is the heat. Summer is supposed to be the season when we feel our best. And yet, for many people, this is the season they actually start feeling worse. Some even say, I dread summer. And I don't think that's just a coincidence. Because while summer can look vibrant on the outside, it asks for a tremendous amount from the body on the inside. Healing is like tending a garden, and in every video, we water the roots. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Amy, a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, and today's wisdom comes from the heart of TCM. Today, we are talking about one of my favorite topics, and it's seasonal care. Because once you understand the logic, the recommendations begin making sense naturally. In traditional Chinese medicine, every single season has its own character. Summer belongs to the fire element. Therefore, it is associated with warmth, movement, growth, circulation, expression, and life. During summer, circulation increases. We sweat more, but from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective, sweating is much more than just simply losing water. It represents the body constantly adjusting itself, trying to maintain balance despite the heat around it. And that is one of the biggest ideas that I want you to remember throughout this video. Summer doesn't simply just make us hot. Summer challenges the body to adapt, release heat, preserve fluids, and stay balanced. Health is not only about treating the symptoms after they appear. It is about how the body responds to the environment and supporting the body before it becomes overwhelmed. The heart is like the sun. It governs circulation, sleep, emotional clarity, and shen, our consciousness, our spirit. Our spleen is the soil. It transforms food into qi and blood and keeps digestion functioning smoothly. Our kidneys are the deep blue ocean, and our molten lava, they store our reserves, so our yin and our yang. Next is our lungs, the atmosphere. They regulate the pores, distribute qi, and works closely with sweating and the body's protective boundary. And lastly, our liver, the river. It helps qi to flow smoothly and move freely throughout our entire landscape. When all five of these systems are communicating well, the body adapts remarkably. But when one part of the system struggles, summer often makes us aware of it. So, what does it look like on the inside of the body? Well, one of the first things that summer changes, and we all experience it, sweating. Most of us think of sweat as a way to cool ourselves down. And from a modern medicine perspective, absolutely true. So as our sweat evaporates from our skin, it carries heat away from the body so that it can help maintain stable internal temperature. But traditional Chinese medicine asks us to look at it one step further. In TCM, we have a classic saying, 汗为心之液. Sweat is the fluid of the heart. But because sweat is made from body fluids, and body fluid shares the same origin as blood in TCM. Hence, we pay close attention to excessive sweating. Because every time we sweat, the body is not only losing heat, it is also gradually spending fluids. And when sweating becomes excessive, especially over long periods of time, the body may be consuming qi and yin faster than it can replenish them. This is one reason why some people finish summer feeling exhausted, spent, even though they feel like they've done nothing. And this is only because the body has been working all day trying to regulate itself. Of course, this does not mean that we should avoid sweating, because normal sweating is healthy. It tells us that the body is responding appropriately to heat. And once we think about sweat this way, another question naturally follows. Why do some people smell a lot stronger during this season, while other people barely notice a difference? Most people assume that body odor is simply caused by sweating, but that is not it, because from a TCM perspective, it is more accurate to say that sweat is reflecting what's happening inside the body. when heat is combined with dampness, or when digestion is not transforming properly, the fluids themselves becomes heavier. This is why people with damp heat often notice more stronger body odor, stickier sweat, oilier skin, more inflamed acne, and a general feeling of running hot. So, improving body odor is not about using deodorants. It is about supporting digestion, reducing unnecessary internal heat, and helping the body transform fluids more efficiently. As the internal environment becomes more balanced, many people notice their skin, their sweat, and body odor improve naturally as well. And of course, when we start feeling hotter, our first instinct is to cool down, which brings us to something that we all rely on during the hottest season of the year, and it's AC. Walking into a cool room after being outside feels wonderful. During summer, our pores naturally open so that heat can escape. When very cold air blows directly onto the body, especially the neck, the shoulders, the upper back, the muscles naturally constrict. Circulation becomes less free. Our channels becomes a lot tighter. And over time, this may contribute towards stiffness and discomfort. So cooling yourselves and making yourself cold, they are two completely different things. And air conditioning is not the only place where we see this, but we also often respond to internal temperature the same way by reaching for anything cold. Cold drinks, smoothies, iced lattes, ice cream, cold showers, raw salads. Which raises an important question: how do we cool down without shocking the body? Now let's go back to the biggest misconception about summer. When we feel hot, our instinct is to do the exact opposite. But traditional Chinese medicine reminds us that cooling the surface is not always the same as supporting the body. Your digestion still depends on warmth to transform food into chi and blood. Imagine cooking a pot of soup. If someone keeps dropping a handful of ice into the pot, the fire underneath it has to work a lot harder and longer. And our body works in a similar way. This does not mean that you should never enjoy something cold again, or that all summer food needs to be hot. It just simply reminds us that our body thrives on regulation rather than the extremes. So if constantly shocking the body with cold things is not the answer, what actually supports us during summer? And this is when food becomes our greatest allies. Therefore, during summer, I encourage everyone to eat lighter meals, more hydrating food, easier to digest foods, and foods that are naturally gentle in cooling. Things such as cucumber, winter melon, zucchini, tomatoes, celery, mung beans, pears, and lighter proteins like chicken and tofu. Again, these foods are not forcing your body to become cold. They are simply helping the body to regulate itself while it is working hard to stay cool. If you already have a phlegm, damp, or yang deficiency constitution, and you eat food that are too cooling for your system, you may run into problems. Even something healthy may not feel suitable for your body at that time. This is one of the reasons why I love TCM. It's never a one size fits all. There is a guidance for everyone, but the guidance always depends on context. But in TCM, we also have recipes that have been enjoyed for generations. And one of my favorites is the simplest, mung bean soup. So mung beans have traditionally been used to help clear summer heat and gently support the body's natural cooling process. To make it, rinse 1 cup of mung beans thoroughly, add 6 to 8 cups of water to it, bring everything to a boil, then reduce it to a gentle simmer for about 45 minutes until the beans become soft and tender. If you enjoy a little sweetness, you can add a small amount of honey after it naturally cools down. However, I recommend drinking it warm rather than adding a lot of ice to it. Because once again, remember, we're not trying to make the body colder. Our goal is to help it regulate itself more comfortably. And now, if soup is not something that you'd like to have all day, then I've got some tea for you. Chrysanthemum tea. So chrysanthemum tea has traditionally been used to clear heat, especially liver heat. And people who spend long hours in front of screens, this will greatly benefit you. handful of chrysanthemum, then pour freshly boiled water over it. Allow it to steep for 5 to 10 minutes. Then enjoy. Some people do love adding goji berries to it because they provide a natural sweetness while also nourishing the liver and kidneys. So this is very simple, beautiful, and well suited for summer. And before we leave the kitchen, I would also love to mention one more traditional favorite, 乌梅汤, so 乌梅 drink. And this is made from smoked Chinese plum. It has a very beautiful sour flavor and a slight smokiness to it. In traditional Chinese medicine, sour flavor has traditionally been valued because it helps preserve fluids and gently contain leakage. So this is one of the reasons why sour food is especially satisfying during hot weather. Not because they magically cure dehydration, they naturally complement what the body is trying to do. Of course, nourishing ourselves is not only about what goes on our plate. Sometimes the way we live matters just as much. Summer naturally encourages us to stay out late until the sun goes down, exercise harder, travel more, socialize more, enjoy every hour of daylight. And all of these things can be so wonderful. So rather than asking, what can I do more during summer? A better question may be, how can I help my body recover from everything it is already doing? Because health is not only built through activity, it is most importantly built through recovery. One of the greatest opportunities for that restoration is sleep. During sleep, our heart is a lot quieter, the shin settles, body fluids are replenished, hormones begin their overnight repair processes. This is why a lot of people may find themselves more irritable, emotionally sensitive, or physically exhausted after a few nights of poor sleep during summer. The body simply didn't have enough time to recover what it has already spent. And the next big thing is exercise. Movement supports circulation, mood, sleep, metabolic health, and emotional well-being. Summer reminds us that timing and intensity matters. Avoid working out during the hottest part of the day. Early mornings or later in the evenings are much kinder on the body, especially during periods of extreme heat. And remember, more is not always better. If your body is already telling you, I'm exhausted, I'm thirsty, my sleep hasn't been good, my recovery feels slower, perhaps today is not another day of intense workout. Perhaps maybe your body's asking for yoga, meditation, a nice long walk. And water is important, but staying hydrated is not only about what you drink, it is also about how your body absorbs it, distributes, and retain these fluids. I like to imagine it like watering a garden. If the soil is healthy, then the water soaks in, nourishes the roots, and supports growth. But if the ground is dry and neglected, you can keep pouring water onto it, yet much of the water just runs off before it gets to do its job. The body can be similar. When we are eating well, moving regularly, sleeping deeply, and supporting digestion, the body is generally better at maintaining healthy fluid balance. But if we're sleep deprived, chronically stressed, surviving on caffeine, or not nourishing ourselves properly, drinking more water alone may not leave us feeling truly restored. And this brings us back to where we began. Summer belongs to the heart, and the heart governs much more than circulation. It also houses the sun, our consciousness, our emotional stability, and our ability to feel settled, which is why summer can feel so powerful emotionally. For some people, it brings joy, it brings connection, energy, creativity. And for others, especially if the system is already overstimulated, it may bring more anxiety, restlessness, light sleep, impatience, or feeling emotionally wired. This does not necessarily mean that something is wrong. It may simply mean that the heart is asking for more quiet, more stillness amongst the activity. Sometimes it looks like reading a book, sitting in the evening breeze, listening to music, spending time in nature, or simply putting your phone down before bed. Small moments of stillness often help regulate a system that has been overstimulated all day. And finally, before we finish, I would love to leave you with 3 acupressure points that can help you through this season. The first one is Neiguan, located about 3-finger width above your wrist crease and in between the 2 tendons. I often think of it as a beautiful point for restoring a sense of steadiness during a season that encourages so much activity. The second point is 曲池. You'll find it at the end of the elbow crease when your joint is bent. This point is traditionally used to help clear heat from the body. Many practitioners also use it to help support inflammatory conditions of the skin. And finally, one of my favorite points all year round is 足三里, located just below the knee outside of the shin. So while we are helping the body to regulate heat, our digestion still needs support. We are also making sure that it has enough energy to regulate itself well. Massage each of these points for 1 to 2 minutes. Remember, consistency matters more than intensity. If I only have to pick one idea and hope that it sticks, it is this. Summer does not make us hot. It is asking our body to regulate. Every day, your body is balancing temperature, circulation, fluids, sleep, digestion, and energy, all at the same time. Sometimes it does that beautifully, and sometimes it asks for a little bit more of support. And that is what traditional Chinese medicine encourages us to notice. Not simply the symptoms, but the conversation that's happening underneath them. Because once you understand the logic, many things that once felt random begin making sense. So, my darling, summer is the brightest season of the year. Nature expands, flowers bloom, fruit ripens, life becomes expressive and vibrant. And I think there's something beautiful about remembering that we are part of the same natural world. Just as a garden does not thrive on sunlight alone, our body does not thrive on activity alone. A garden also needs water, healthy soil, fresh air, shade, and time to recover after the hardest part of the day. Our body is no different. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'm truly grateful for everything, for all your support, comments, and messages. I wish you good health, and good health is the ultimate fortune and the only investment with endless return. And when do we start investing? Right now.